Hello, everyone. My name is Christina Silva, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm one of the co-chairs for Open House 2021. I want to welcome you to the College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Science. Welcome. We are so excited to have you here. And first off, we have a message from our Provost, Cynthia Jackson Elmore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Open House, and welcome to Cal Poly. I am Dr. Cynthia Jackson Elmore, and I serve as Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs at Cal Poly. The Provost is the lead academic officer of a university. I oversee all 6 colleges, as well as the Robert E. Kennedy Library, University Advising, the Transfer Student Center, International and Extended Education, and many departments you will encounter during your time at Cal Poly. I hope that you've enjoyed the first few days of our virtual open house and that you are looking forward to engaging with your college, departments, and additional academic services today. The deans, department heads and chairs, faculty and staff in our colleges and across the university have been hard at work to make today as helpful as possible to you. Whether you've already committed to attend Cal Poly or you are still making your decision, Open House is an important and exciting step in your college journey, and I am glad that you have joined us today. I encourage you to ask questions today and beyond. We are eager to help you and to talk about Cal Poly, and I am sure you are eager to learn. I am thrilled to welcome you to Cal Poly, and I hope you have a wonderful open house experience. Thank you for being a part of this week's events. Take care.
Good morning and welcome to Cal Poly's College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Sciences virtual open house event. We're so thrilled that you could join us today. I'm Dr. Andy Thulin, Dean of the college. I've been Dean for nearly 8 years now, and previously, I spent about 15 years as head of the Animal Sciences Department. I'm a nutritionist by training. I also did my undergraduate here about 100 years ago, and my wife and both of our daughters graduated from Cal Poly. One is an undergraduate and the other is a graduate student. So we're very much a true Cal Poly Mustang family. We have an exciting agenda planned for you today. We're sorry that you can't meet with you in person, but you'll hear from a number of people who are here to share information about the college and answer any questions that you might have. A few housekeeping items before we get started. We are recording this session and we'll post it on our college website for you to refer back to. We have lots of time at the end to answer your questions, and feel free to submit questions throughout the program using the Q&A function. We have a number of people in the background who are happy to answer all your questions. Great, now let's move on. Now I'd like to share a quick video of the college since many of you haven't had a chance to visit our lovely campus. Take it away.
Welcome to the College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Sciences. We are so happy to show you around our college. We are one of 6 colleges that Cal Poly has on campus and the 2nd largest in terms of student enrollment. We have over 4,100 students that stretch across 15 majors that get to practice learn by doing in our living classrooms and labs that fill over 10,000 plus acres of land. Students can apply to one of 15 majors within the breadth of agriculture, food, and environmental sciences spectrum.
Here we are in the hub of campus where many of our classes and labs are. This is the Agricultural Sciences Building, home to the Dean's Office, where students can ask questions, apply for research, and learn about upcoming events hosted by our 50 clubs and programs. This is also home to the Experienced Industry Management Department, which runs the Recreation, Parks, and Tourism Administration major and minor in Event Planning and Experience Management. Cal Poly's EIM department teaches students how to design, co-create, deliver, and manage experiences that impact quality of life and economic vitality. This knowledge equips graduates to facilitate experiences in all sectors of the industry related to event planning and experience management, tourism, hospitality, destination management, sports and outdoor recreation, and many more.
Building 10 hosts many lecture-style classes, as well as department offices and study spaces, especially for those in the agricultural business, agricultural communications, and agricultural science programs. Cal Poly's agricultural business major is a leading, dynamic, and entrepreneurial program serving the global food industry. The program emphasizes career management preparation for agribusiness careers as part of the world food system, with emphasis on marketing strategy, retail and supply chain management, and finance and operations. The Agricultural Education and Communications Department develops leaders, educators, and communicators to advance and advocate the agricultural industry in a global economy. Within the department are the Agricultural Communications major, Agricultural Science major, and Agricultural Education minor. This department teaches future agricultural educators and communicators by experiencing all aspects of the agricultural industry.
These unique, state-of-the-art laboratories are home to the bioresource and agricultural engineering and agricultural systems management majors. These programs are dedicated to advancing the study, teaching, and practice of agricultural engineering and systems management support for agriculture. From day one, students are immersed in learn by doing, laboratory-intensive classes designed to hone their problem-solving skills and providing them with the necessary tools and opportunities to build what they design.
Our food science major and nutrition major offer a comprehensive education in food science and nutrition, from the development of new food products to the study of how foods impact health, wellness, and disease prevention. The department's exceptional Learn by Doing methodology provides industry-ready graduates with the tools needed to nourish the world. Cal Poly grows and produces many products that are part of how students learn how food is truly processed from field to table.
Welcome to the Oppenheimer Family Equine Center, one of the many animal units on campus. The Animal Science Department is home to the Animal Science and Dairy Science majors. We are lucky to have so many facilities and state-of-the-art laboratories right here on campus where students can gain the tools to be successful in career fields such as veterinary medicine, animal biotechnology, food and animal production and processing, feed manufacturing, and animal nutrition. The Dairy Unit is the largest collegiate dairy in the United States and is entirely student-run. And our Meat Processing Center is the only one that's USDA certified on a university campus and gives students amazing hands-on learning opportunities. Students can also participate in enterprises, giving them more hands-on experiences in leadership development. Some of these enterprises include foaling, bull test and sale, colt starting, broilers, and so many more.
Cal Poly's Wine and Viticulture department offers a one-of-a-kind interdisciplinary major with a three-part curriculum that combines an understanding of viticulture, enology, and wine business. It is one of the largest and most respected bachelor's degree programs of its kind in the nation. Our new Justin and J. Lohr Wine and Viticulture Center will be the perfect environment for the future winemakers and managers of the industry to come together to practice Learn by Doing. The center will be open this coming year.
Cal Poly's Horticulture and Crop Science Department offers the Agricultural Environmental Plant Sciences degree program with concentrations in 3 specialized areas: environmental horticulture science, fruit and crop science, and plant protection science. Students gain unique hands-on experience in the department's fields, groves, vineyards, nurseries, orchards, an arboretum, gardens, and greenhouses. The 11-acre organic farm and this beautiful leaning pine arboretum both provide students with unique hands-on learning experiences. Internships and projects with industry partners provide yet another opportunity for experiential learning that sets students apart.
Cal Poly's Natural Resources Management and Environmental Sciences Department prepares passionate leaders who drive change in sustainability, environmental stewardship, and the restoration of land resources related to soil, water, forests, range, and wildlife. This department is comprised of 3 majors: Environmental Earth and Soil Sciences, Environmental Management and Protection, and Forest and Fire Sciences. The 3,200-acre Swanton Pacific Ranch is composed of majestic redwood and Douglas fir forests, lush ecosystems, and expansive coastal grassland overlooking Monterey Bay and the Pacific Ocean. Students within the Natural Resources Management and Environmental Sciences live and learn on this working range, developing career skills, learning current technologies, and conducting diverse research projects.
Thank you so much for joining us on our tour of Cal Poly's College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Sciences. For more information, please visit cafes.calpoly.edu and follow us on social media. We hope you enjoyed learning about cafes and the facilities where students learn by doing.
Great. Before we move forward, I want to briefly address the COVID-19 pandemic. Presently, we're planning for most of our courses to be face-to-face in the fall, with some of our really large lecture classes possibly being virtual as needed. We will, of course, be monitoring local health conditions and adjust as needed or required by county or state, as well as making reasonable accommodations for students who are unable to meet and be at face-to-face settings during this time. Now let's dig into some college-specific information. The university once again received a very large number of applicants this year for a limited number of seats, with over 65,000 applications. In our college, we saw about 4,600 first-time freshman applications and 865 transfer student applications for about 120 seats total that we have to fill. So you should be extremely proud that you were admitted to Cal Poly, and it continues to be extremely selective. And just a shout out to you parents, you should be extremely proud of your son or daughter for all the hard work they've done to get accommodated at Cal Poly. Now let's take a look at some of the college highlights. As was said in the previous presentation, we have over 4,100 students across 15 majors, all of whom experience hands-on learning in both traditional classrooms and our more than 10,000 acres of learn by doing space. Our 15 majors are embedded within 9 departments. You can see the list here. All of our departments are having Zoom meetings immediately following this presentation, so be sure to refer to the virtual open house webpage for a full schedule. As I said, we have over 10,000 acres of land where students experience hands-on learning, and 6,000 acres of those are right here adjacent to our campus. The rest is just down the road in Arroyo Grande and up in Santa Cruz County at our Swanton Pacific Ranch. Students from all majors take classes and labs at these unique living classrooms where they learn in an environment similar to what they might experience in industry, making them ready for their careers day one. We are the 5th largest college of agriculture and renewable resources in the whole US, and one of just 4 colleges of ag in the CSU system. All of our classes are small in size, so students and faculty work very close together in discovery. And last, one of the most unique aspects of the college are the vast number of student clubs that offer opportunities for students to meet friends and future contacts, get leadership experience, and learn outside the classroom. College is a tremendous time of growth for you. And our Learn by Doing experiential learning programs and extracurriculars are designed to help you build a professional toolbox that you can then take out into the world to accomplish great things, from critical thinking skills, to scientific skills, to research skills, to the connections you made networking with your peers and with the industry. A degree from Cal Poly opens up a world of opportunity for you. The United States Department of Agriculture data predicts that there will be more than 60,000 new jobs each year in the areas of food, agriculture, renewable natural resources, and environmental industries. Most of our students have job offers, by the time they even start winter quarter in January. Most are taking positions well before they graduate in their senior year. And we have a number of resources designed to help you in your job and internship search. Before you go into our panel discussion, I wanted to encourage you to follow us on social media to stay connected with the college. Our website has a host of information that will have the recordings from this and all your department's Zoom sessions posted. You can also sign up for a virtual tour and chat with our college ambassadors. Check out our website for more information. Now I'd like to introduce you to some other speakers we've asked to participate in a panel discussion. I'm going to ask the panel to introduce yourselves, and also with your year, your major, your hometown, or position that you're in with the university. We'll start with Kath.
Morning, everyone. My name's Kath Klyer, and I'm the Associate Dean for Student Success, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Thank you, Kath. Amy?
Hi, my name is Amy Lambert, and I am a faculty member in the Department of Food Science and Nutrition. I am also a parent of a second-year Cal Poly student, in biochemistry. And like many of you, I also have an incoming freshman. My daughter will be a freshman in nutrition in the fall.
Great. Thanks, Amy. Ashley.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ashley Waymeyer, and I am a second-year animal science student with a dairy industries minor from Visalia, California in the Central Valley.
Great. Thanks, Ashley. Kimoko.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kimiko, and I'm a third-year food science major from Fremont, California.
I'm sorry, Kimiko. I've said your name so many times, but I messed it up on that one. Z, how about taking us away?
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Z, and I am a fourth-year environmental management and protection student. And I'm also a transfer student as well from Sacramento, California.
Great. Thanks, Z. Marty?
Hi, everyone. I'm Marley Solicito. I'm a fourth-year agricultural business major and ag education minor from the Salinas Valley.
Great. Thank you so much, Marty. Now let's, I want to thank all of our participants from working from their homes, or home offices, or their wherever. And let's get started with some questions. What kind of resources made the transition to college easier? And I'm going to call on the speakers in this order. Maybe Ashley, you could start us off.
Yeah, so as I mentioned previously, I'm a second year. So a lot of the beginning of my college experience was affected by COVID. I did get 2 full quarters, but spring quarter, we moved to the fully online format. And when I moved to college, I had a very hard time with the transition and being away from home. But the thing that really made the transition easier was just getting involved and joining as many clubs as possible. Cafes has an awesome club showcase. And as Dean Thulin mentioned, we have many clubs. And I probably signed up for about 10. Didn't keep up with all of them, but I did go to the first meeting, which I would recommend to anyone. Try out a club. A lot of times they have food, and they have good food, usually like tri-tip or something like that. And then you'll find the ones that you want to stick with. And from that, you find the people, and that's how you build your community. And so that was something that was really easy for me in my in-person time. But as we transitioned to the virtual format, I was still able to stay involved. A lot of these clubs transitioned in having Zoom meetings. I was able to get involved in leadership and going for officer teams, as well as joining an on-campus job at the Cal Poly Dairy. So it's very possible to still stay involved with COVID. And my piece of advice would be to join as many clubs as you can to build your community.
Great. Thanks, Ashley. Now I'm going to ask Z to talk about the transfer perspective, the transfer student perspective. Z?
Yeah, so similar to Ashley, like my kind of like first year, the end of the first year was turned virtual. And I think like as a transfer student, like just kind of being at Cal Poly for that first year and then having it go virtual was a bit difficult to navigate originally, but something that really helped me kind of get through is again, like building that community. And so for me, we have the transfer center, which has gone kind of like in full effect. And one of the great things that I've kind of been taking advantage of with the transfer center is what they call like transfer hangouts. And so those are really cool ways to kind of like meet other students. They have them like specific to like the majors. So like cafes is having one coming up next week on Wednesday. And so it's like a cool way to kind of like connect with other people, because as a transfer student, right, like a lot of times like people come in and they don't really know people, or they don't really know like what resources are offered at Cal Poly, or like what clubs exist within our major. And so that's like a great way to kind of network with other transfer students. And that's kind of what I've been using to sort of utilize, like have a better transition here at Cal Poly during this virtual time right now.
Great. Thank you so much, Z, for that perspective. Marty.
I am going to second Ashley on that one. Finding your community is really what made the transition for me a whole lot easier. I remember freshman year, the biggest challenge for me was just going from getting like straight A's my whole life to coming to Cal Poly and really being challenged by those courses. I remember I got a C my first quarter and I was flipping out. But having that community of students that I found either in the dorms or through clubs made that a whole lot easier, because we'd all get together, study together. And a lot of those people that I met through clubs have now become my best friends, my roommates. I talk to all of my advisors on a daily basis. You really build a community that's there to support you.
Great. Thanks, Marty, for those comments. Kimiko, I know you have some insight.
Yes, of course. I think, honestly, everything that Ashley, Marley, and Z has said so far has been something that really resonated with me. Definitely taking every kind of opportunity that you have. And so taking every step that you can to get involved with different clubs. So there are a bunch of general clubs. I'm involved with a couple of cultural clubs. There's major specific clubs and college clubs. There's just so many different resources out there and so many ways for you to meet new people. And I think one just general piece of advice, no matter where you select to go in the future for higher education, I'd say, don't be discouraged within your first year if you don't find that community, because clubs are always accepting new people and always welcoming new people in their second and third year. So don't be discouraged no matter what, because you absolutely will be able to find the place where you belong.
Great. Thanks, Kimiko. Those are great words. Kath, you have anything to add to what the students have shared?
I'll add just a couple of things, Dean Thurland. One is that Cal Poly has a great writing and learning center. We have a lot of tutors that are available to help in all of your different courses. And additionally, I would add that Cal Poly is at its heart a teaching institution. And what that means is that we really value teaching here. And so professors are available to talk to students on office hours. I see Dr. Lambert shaking her head. I know she's had a lot of experience talking with students. And so we are here for academic success for students in lots of different ways. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Kath. What resources does Cal Poly have to assist with career development? I'm going to call on Amy Lambert first.
Hello, everyone. We have a lot of resources. The first resource you have for career development is your classes. Your classes are what is going to prepare you for your career. Within your classes, many times our faculty will get guest speakers, and those guest speakers will give you a view of what's happening in the real world so that you understand how your learning transfers to what's happening in the real world. Additionally, one of the things that the students were talking about with clubs, one of my things to encourage you to do would be to get involved in clubs and to get involved in clubs in your major, because many times companies will come and sponsor a lunch and talk to students about what they do at their company, and then you can see how what you're learning relates to that. Another aspect that I think is very, very important is talking to your faculty. We are here to develop you to make an impact on the disciplines we love. So talk to your faculty, engage your faculty. Many, many faculty on this campus have research opportunities, and we are always looking for help. And when you find a faculty member that you enjoy talking with, you enjoy the areas that they do research in, ask if you can get involved. I've had students get involved as a freshman. I've had students get involved as sophomores, juniors, and seniors. It does not matter the time. What matters is the experience. The hands-on experience is what prospective employers are going to look at when you go out and get your job. They're not going to ask you about what you learned in class. They're going to ask you about, what did you do? How did you do it? What troubles did you run into and how did you fix it? And how can you get those experiences? By getting involved in research, doing internships, etc. And so my voice is get involved, not only with clubs, but within your major and in some of the opportunities it presents as well.
Great, thanks, Amy. Listen, as Dean, I can't help but just make a quick comment about the open door policy of our faculty. Now, it's been a challenge with Zoom, but even with Zoom, I think our faculty, the connectivity with the students is just awesome. But when all the students are here, you'll go down the halls, the doors are open to the faculty, and you'll often see a number of students outside their door getting in, and it's a community. It really is. It's really exciting to see. And I've been at other universities, never saw anything like it. Here, it's a way of life. So I'm gonna ask Kath Clyer if she wanted to make some comments about maybe career services, Ag Showcase. What are the other things that we might have available, Kath?
Thanks, Dean Thulin. We have a great career services here at Cal Poly. They use a platform called Handshake, which is a digital platform to connect students to employers. Career services offers several large career fairs through the year, but we have one specifically for ag and natural resource students called Ag Showcase. And we're presently developing another one in November. What we found is that a lot of students, by the time Ag Showcase comes around in January, they, like Dean Thulin said, they've already got their jobs. So that's pretty great that we've got two different career fairs for natural resource students and ag students. We also have in career services, they have a huge number of modules. They will interview you, do mock interviews, look at your resume, look at your cover letter, really help you develop those professional skills. Not only that, but we have courses that first year students take that help them develop those professional tools. In addition, we have our very own ag career counselor who is a special liaison to us. So that's also really useful. So those are some of the resources that Cal Poly has for career services.
Great.
Oh, and I just want to add, sorry, Dean, I just want to add that Ag Showcase is entirely student run. So we have faculty that sort of advise it, but students do all the work for that. So again, it's that learn by doing, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I'll just comment that resonates out of the Ag Business Management program, and it's run by students, as was said. And usually, typically, they'll have over 100 different companies and organizations come and meet with the students over a couple of days. I'd like to take just a moment and ask the students who have had internships, if you could just speak up and tell me what internships, or tell us what internships you've had and what did you learn from it? Let's start with Kamiko. I think you've had some internships, have you?
I actually haven't, but I've just had a bunch of experience through a bunch of different programs within the Food Science and Nutrition department here at Cal Poly. So I work on campus making jam, barbecue sauce, and chocolate. I'm involved with a competition team, specifically making a product. We're developing a product. So I'd say even if you don't get an internship, there's so many different opportunities for you to get involved within the college.
That's fantastic. Anyone else, Marley or others? Z?
I have had an internship with a company now for 2 summers, and I actually just accepted a job with them for after I graduate. But they technically did not come to Ag Showcase, but the boss's wife did. She was representing a different company. And I wasn't even going into Ag Showcase to necessarily look for an internship. I was more so helping with the Agribusiness Management Club. But she got talking to me and was like, oh, what are you interested in? And then she just passed the word on, and one thing led to another, and I got an internship. But I think that's what's so great about Cal Poly is that it's always the weird moments that you make really good connections that are going to impact your future career. Like at Western Bonanza, if you are carrying a bunch of shavings to a different pen or something, people notice like, oh, they're putting in the hard effort. Like, I want to give them a job. And Cal Poly's alumni system is just so strong. They know the value of Cal Poly's learn by doing motto. So they're always looking for students because they went through the same experience, and they just know that it prepares you to be ready for the real world.
Great comments. Any of the other students want to make a comment on this before we move forward?
I would like to comment on that. So I'm a second year, so I didn't have an internship last year, but I do have an internship for this upcoming summer, and that was due to our amazing faculty and staff. As Dean Thulin and Dr. Lambert said, the open door policy is really true. I emailed the dairy operations manager and said, hey, I'm interested in an internship in this. Can I schedule a meeting to talk to you? I did, and he said, okay, I have this company, and this company, and called them right in front of me and said, I have a student who's interested in this, got me in contact with someone, and now I have an internship for this summer. So faculty are a great source for internships and jobs a lot of faculty get emails trying to recruit Cal Poly students specifically, and they'll send those out to you. So there's always opportunities.
Great comments, Ashley. Thank you for that. So we're going to move on now and talk about housing. What is housing like on campus, and how did you get comfortable living on campus? What kind of housing is available for all 4 years? Is it available for all 4 years? Marty, can you start us off with your thoughts?
Yeah, so when you are applying for housing, you have to choose a learning community. And one of those learning communities is your college-specific ones. So I was in the College of Agriculture, Food, and Environmental Sciences dorms, which 4 years ago, those were in the old school red bricks. And I gotta say, I loved living with cafe students because it was so convenient. Like if I had a question on homework, I could just run down the hall and knock on my friend's door. If I wanted to go to a club meeting, but I was like, not really sure, wanted someone to come with me, I could ask someone random in the study room to just come with me. It was just a really good way of meeting people who you are going to have in your classes, and just have familiar faces that you'll have throughout your 4 years. Whenever I bump into someone that it's like, oh, you live down the hall from me, it's always puts a smile on our faces. And I just loved living in cafes. And they are going to start requiring students to live on campus 2 years, and those learning communities will carry over into the next year, but you could pick different learning communities also if you wanted. But I think it would have been really fun if I had that option back then to have those learning communities my second year to live in cafes again.
Great, thanks, Marty. Any of the other students want to make a comment about living on campus? Okay. Well, let's move on then. I'm going to ask our student speakers to just kind of go through, and I can't see you all in the Hollywood squares here, but tell me about one of your labs or your enterprise classes, and how did it help you to learn, and what did you like about it? Kamiko, you're closest on my screen, so I'll just ask you to start, and then I'll ask the other students to make comments. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sounds good. I've had so many labs that I've enjoyed. It's kind of hard to pick the one that I enjoyed the most. But I'd say one that was the most memorable for me was from my first year. It was a lab that was attached to an introductory food science course. And it was a great opportunity for me to kind of get to know what food science was. And so I remember our end lab was getting to make jam. So that was really fascinating because I had never seen a production plant before, let alone see something actually running. So we got to experience everything, dumping the berries into the kettle, adding all the ingredients, watching it run through our filler and go into the jars, and having it like being packaged right in front of your eyes was just something so fascinating to me, and it really made me realize that food science was the place for me. But aside from that, I've had so many other great experiences where we get to use a retort, where we get to can a bunch of vegetables, or we actually run sensory tests. And so I think no matter what kind of lab you're taking for your major courses, you really get to experience the whole breadth of what your major entails.
Great, thank you. Others?
I can share. So for me, it's actually a course that's like in virtual. And so one of my courses for the environmental management and protection class is like life cycle analysis. And so because the class is virtual, it kind of like allowed for a more like flexible like format and to be taught. And so our class got to work with Taiwan students and kind of like identify environmental factors that were impacting like bamboo and like how that impacts like the ecology and like the environment and like the economy of Taiwan. And so like having a lab class where we got to work with those students specifically was really fun. And it was just like a great learning opportunity because, oftentimes like we think about things like, in the United States and how that works, but it kind of gave that international perspective. And so that was really cool. And I really enjoyed just being able to like meet other students and just kind of expand my perspective too. So.
Thank you, Z. I also have to comment that the Taiwan students from the other university also, to my knowledge, sent you all some food from some local food. What was that about?
Yeah. It was, yeah, so we got these like noodle bowls, and that was really nice of them for them to send it all the way to us in the States. But yeah, they were super awesome. So we got to have a little treat like that. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you participated in that program. I'm super stoked about us doing more of that in the future.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Great. Who else would like to call me? Ashley or Marley?
So I'm known for taking classes that do not count towards my major at all, because Cal Poly has so many classes that are just way too much fun. I just couldn't pass them up. I mean, why not take way too many classes that don't count for anything? So for instance, I took tractor driving. That was the funnest lab I have ever had. Love that class. I did the swine enterprise, so I got to go see baby piglets all the time, got to feed pigs. I'd come home smelling just amazing to my roommates, and they loved that. I've been in Western Bonanza, which is an enterprise. I've taken on leadership roles in that. There's just so many really hands-on classes that if you're coming to Cal Poly, you got to take the opportunity and just embrace it, have fun with it. What I really loved is that you don't have to have any experience. Personally, I have no clue what I'm doing around a dairy cow, but I took a dairy husbandry class and had so much fun learning the whole process from milking and just like nutrition, all of the different aspects. So the learn by doing is taken to an extreme in cafes, and I think that's the best thing.
Great, thanks, Marty. Ashley, do you have some comments you wanted to make?
Yeah, so I would have to second what Kimiko said, that I have had way too many labs that I have absolutely loved, that I couldn't just pick one. And I feel like this is a trend within animal science because all of our classes apply learn by doing. And one of the cool things about animal science as well as crop science and the natural resources is that we have enterprises. And I would describe enterprises as essentially applying what you've learned into a real world situation. So during my time at Cal Poly, I have taken the lambing enterprise, the dairy calving enterprise, the dairy heifer enterprise, and I'm currently in the bull test and sale enterprise. And I think my favorite part about that is I'm taking what I learned in my lecture and I get to actually do it. So for example, in the dairy calving enterprise, we focus on colostrum management and how important it is to get the calf colostrum within 4 hours. And you can see that taking the dairy calving enterprise, and it's like I learned that in my dairy husbandry class. And it really just allows everything to come full circle. So I would definitely say there are many hands-on opportunities within animal science, but in cafes in general.
Great, thanks, Ashley. Okay, so let's talk about the possibility to change majors or to add a minor. And I'll start it off with Kath.
So it is possible, but first year students cannot change a major in their first quarter. But after that, students would apply for a change of major to a different department. Different departments have different criteria. So you have to be sure that you meet the criteria and then you have to be accepted. And part of the reason for that is we want to make sure that the students who are already in that major are able to get into classes. And so that's why some of those rules exist. But you can definitely research the change of major process. And there's a lot of information on the web for all the different departments. Transfer students, same thing, can't do that during your very first quarter. But then the student would submit what we call an individual change of major form. And then we also have a dedicated group of academic advisors in our Cafes Advising Center. And these academic advisors are really helpful in walking students through these processes.
Great, thanks, Kath. Ashley, you changed your major. Can you describe the process and how easy or how difficult it was?
Yeah, so before I came to Cal Poly, there was always a stigma that it is impossible to change your major, whatever major you have with, that you are stuck with it. And that is absolutely not true at all. Like Dr. Clyer said, it depends on what major you want to switch into. It's typically easier to switch within your same college because a lot of those classes will transfer over. But it's typically just a list of classes that you have to take and a GPA requirement, and that will typically let you in. And I've done it twice, so it's not too hard to do.
Great, thanks, Ashley. Z, you added a minor. How did that work out?
Sorry. Yeah, so I did. So I added sustainable environments as a minor. And the process was relatively easy. So you send an email and you kind of like, doing that, like, the way that like the minors are set up within like cafes, it works out really taken within your major, or it's like a nice elective class that kind of like complements your major very well. And so it's been a fairly like simple process. And then just getting those classes done. It hasn't like impacted my like time here or anything like that. Just the way they're easily integrated into
Great,
the major.
thank you.
Already.
Any of the other students want to add or that have added a minor?
Something I like is that you can add your minor later, and even though you have those classes already taken, you can do that. So one thing I did with all of those classes that didn't count towards anything, I turned those into a minor, and then I only had to take like 3 more classes towards that minor to get it. So that's a really good thing to think about. Another thing is a lot of times those classes overlap with your major. So if you're really strategic with like what classes you take to count for what, you can get it to count for both. And then just, being strategic and taking a look at arts and curriculum sheets and really figuring when you need.
Let's move forward and talk just a little bit. I'll start with Kath, and then I'd like to follow up with Z. And Z's actually already made some comments, but I just want to, for those who are the transfer students that are on the web, it'd be nice for them to have a little bit of background. Okay, so Kath, let's
Thanks,
start us
Dean
off. And we'll
Thulin.
go to Z.
I put in the chat our link to our Cal Poly Transfer Center. And so the Transfer Center is really all things transfers. And one of the cool things that they have are transfer mentors. So they hook you up with other students who have transferred just to talk about what it's like. There's unique challenges to being a transfer student. They also have transfer student hang all virtual right now. But these are other ways to meet other transfer students. Within cafes, we have an advisor dedicated to helping transfer students. We do have quite a lot of resources for transfer students, but I will ask Z to contribute some more since I'm not actually a transfer student myself.
Yeah, no worries. That was a great introduction. So as you all may be like scrolling on the transfer like page, so I'm actually one of the transfers, again, engaging questions about like housing from like semesters, find the resources that they need that are like specific to them. So we have a lot of students who, may have dependents, or students who, want to learn more about a lot of the things we're talking about, like switching majors, things like that. And so we host a lot of like workshops with other groups on campus, resources on campus, like financial aid or cafes advising, drop-ins, things like that. To kind of get students connected and just kind of like make sure their questions are answered so that transition can be supported. And so, the more, I guess, exciting thing for me as like a transfer student as well, kind of Kath talked about it a little bit, but the transfer hangouts. And so these are really cool because they are like designed for like students within a specific major to kind of like, connect with each other and just like reach out to each other if like, they have questions about like, hey, what's it like being, an environmental management protection major? Like, I'm a 4th year. And so students come in and like ask about my courses. So it's a designated space to kind of have that conversation.
Great, thanks, Z.
So
it's great to hear that you're one of the counselors there, or one of the support team. Let's move on to talk about something that I hear once in a while, and that's the difficulty to register and get into classes. I'm just going to ask the students, come right from the experts. I see Marley. Let's start with Marley, Ashley, and then go through with Z and Kamiko.
So I honestly have never had an issue registering for classes. Yeah, sometimes I had to take it with maybe a professor I didn't necessarily want, wasn't my top choice, or maybe I did have to take that 7 a.m. class. But I've always been able to get the classes that I needed when I needed them, which has been really nice. I never had a problem until the very start of COVID, when everything just kind of went chaos. That was the first time I had a registration issue, and I was like, oh my goodness, like I don't know what classes to take. But other than that, like I've been pretty lucky to not have too many issues. And if you do run into like issues of like, oh, I can't get into a class, there's options to do substitutions, which I think a lot of people forget about. I know I never did a substitution until this year because I didn't know about it. So a big thing also is going and meeting with maybe like the student advisors or your actual advisor and just like checking, like, am I missing anything, doing stuff like that, or seeing what your options are. And honestly, the flow charts and curriculum sheets are lifesavers. If you stick to those, you are going to be good.
Great. Thanks, Marley.
Yeah, so I would really have to second what Marley said. It really is just about you being flexible. I personally, my freshman year, did not get into a chemistry class, which is one of the more common classes because it's a support class for multiple majors across the college. And I registered for the 7 a.m. class. I was number 20 on the wait list and I got in 3 days later. So you really just have to be flexible on times and professors and stuff like that.
Great. Thanks, Ashley. I'll make just a sidecar comment because most of my team in the dean's office hear this all the time. I often say the world is run by those who show up. And that is really what, if you're persistent and you just keep showing up, it allows, I mean, that's a big part of being a leader and being there and just making things happen. So thanks for that comment, Ashley. Z, did you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, I would just say like from the transfer student's perspective. So I kind like when I transferred in, that was kind of like my worry, like how would I like get my classes since, you know, I already had completed courses before. And one of the great things, I didn't actually have the issue of like not getting the classes that I needed to register for, just because like when I came into Cal Poly, like my classes were already like articulated and I kind of already had like set up the courses and like things that I needed to take. But I will say that like just for you know, prospective transfers too, is like it's really important to meet with like advisors early on, because there are courses that are at like offered like certain quarters, and that can be something that may like catch some people kind of like by surprise. But kind of like Marley said, like courses, you can substitute courses, and so that's nice if that does happen and you're not able to get into a course. But just to keep that in mind, that courses are offered like different terms sometimes too. So
great, thanks, Z. Kimiko, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I think the only thing that I would add is that I have never personally had an issue with registering for major related courses, for major specific courses. If anything, I've only maybe had a couple of difficulties with support classes. So that's your general chemistry, general biology. But like Ashley said, if you're just a little more flexible and willing to, if you're on the wait list, like jump into the class and show the professor that you're interested, I think that you really won't have an issue.
Great, thanks, Kimiko. Let's move on to what kind of opportunities are there for students to be involved on campus outside of the classroom? And we'll start with Ashley and then follow up with Kimiko and Marley and then Z. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm mainly involved in cafes related clubs, but I'm involved in Cafes Ambassadors, the Professional Agricultural Sorority Sigma Alpha, the Los Lecheros Dairy Club, the Young Cattlemen's Association, and then I also have an on-campus job. And as Dr. Lambert said earlier, a lot of times with these topic-focused clubs or agriculturally focused clubs, they'll bring in speakers from industry, which is something that I've really liked for networking and just professional development. But there are tons of opportunities, not only within the college, but out. We have tons of clubs within cafes, but we have a club for everything. We have a hammocking club if that's something you're into. So many clubs. There's many ways to get involved, whether that be clubs or an on-campus job.
Great. Thanks, Ashley. Kimiko?
I think also for me, I've been involved in a lot of cafes related or department specific clubs. I'm also involved in Cafes Ambassadors. I work on campus, like I said, at our pilot plant making jam, barbecue sauce, and chocolate. I've had a job working at the Cal Poly Creamery. So getting to experience how they make their cheese and ice cream was really cool. I've also just been so, I guess, interactive with also my peers in food science that I've just kind of tried to make connections with them and sort of ended up helping out with some of their senior projects. So getting experience that way was great. And I'm also involved in some on-campus research. I work in our food safety lab, and that is personally what I'm interested in. So it's really great way for me to kind of get to know the opportunities and experiences that there are out there for myself in food safety.
Great, thanks, Kimiko. Marty, do you have some comments?
I think we can all agree that clubs are huge. So I do a lot with Cafes Ambassadors, where basically we get to serve as the face of the college, which I think is really fun. We get to interact with everyone from kindergartners to potential high school students who want to come here, to alumni. It's really fun. I also am involved with the Tractopole club and team, so that's really fun because I have no idea how to drive these giant racing tractors or work on them, but I get to help with the event planning side of things, which I think is really fun. I'm involved with the Agribusiness Management Club, which is great because I get to hear from industry professionals from a major that I am in, so it's really relatable to see the opportunities available. And I'm involved with Western Bonanza, where I've served as the swine chair and then the swine barn manager. And that's just a really fun opportunity because so many different cafes and outside of our college students come together to put on this massive event. And it's just great seeing all these little kids happy and just happy to be there. And then another thing, aside from clubs, is there's so many opportunities to work at Cal Poly. Like Cal Poly is literally run by students. The units all have employees, managers, you name it, they got it. There's also stuff not necessarily ag related or food science related or any of that. I was a TA for a class, so I got to grade papers. There's so many ways to get involved on campus outside of your department, major, and classes or clubs.
Great, thanks, Marty. Z?
Yeah, so outside of like the transfer center, I've been involved in like some specific like major specific clubs like Zero Waste or like Net Impact. And as the previous like panelists have mentioned, it's really like cool because you get to meet other people like through like panelists, things like this, or you know, they do sort of like Instagram takeovers where you can kind of like see like what it is that these like other people like who have careers in these professions do like on the day-to-day basis. And sometimes they even offer like partnerships and work with local like businesses. So that was like a really cool kind of way to just get that like outside experience in the career field, like specific to majors. So that's kind of what I've been doing as well outside of the transfer center.
Great, thanks so much, Z. I just will make a side comment here, and that is, you know, I'm extremely fortunate. I got one of the best jobs in the world. I get a chance to work with the Cafes Ambassadors and other students, and you know, it's just a pleasure when I get to meet with them. And usually that's at 7 a.m. on a Thursday morning. Is that right, Marley and Kimiko and others? It's early, and you know, they're just they have so much information, excitement, and energy. And, you know, most of the time I walk away from there thinking, gosh, I wish I could go back to school again. It's amazing, but for me, it's just a huge pleasure to be able to interact with the students at a high level and have them interact with my advisory council members, which are a lot of CEOs and organization leaders, and just so impressed with how they handle themselves. So that's fantastic, and I want to thank the students for that opportunity. There's a question that's going to come up, and we should just deal with it now. How realistic is it to graduate in 4 years? And I'll just turn it loose to the students.
I gotta say, I know so many people who have graduated in 3 years from Cal Poly. So this is definitely a stereotype I think that people have about Cal Poly, is that, oh my goodness, you can't graduate in 4 years. If you stick to your curriculum sheet and just, you know, make sure you have a good number of units each quarter and stay on top of things, it is totally realistic to graduate in 4 years. I could have graduated in 3, but I decided I wanted to go the full 4. So I've been dragging it out as long as I could. And I wish I could stay for another year, but I am out of classes to take. So it's totally realistic. And don't be afraid if you do need to stay for an extra quarter, like so many people do it. So it's really up to you on how much time you want to spend here and how you do in your classes and all of that.
Great, thank you. Other students?
Yeah, sorry. I would just add that another option would be, if you're kind of worried about graduating in 4 years, would be to take summer school classes. A lot of students will take their general eds at community colleges over the summer and then have them transfer. And then another cool thing is that Cafes also offers major classes over the summer, if that's another option, if you want to advance your graduation or if you're worried that you're not on track.
Great. Thank you.
Just to add on, if you are not a senior in high school, maybe you're a junior, sophomore, something else, and you're just really on top of things and already at open house for Cal Poly, I highly recommend taking those AP classes and taking community college classes while you're in college or while you're in high school, because not only are those bonus points in Cal Poly's eyes, but it gets you ahead and gets some of those like support or GE classes out of the way early.
And Marty, that allows you to then take more classes when you're here as a student, right? In your 4 years and things that you really enjoy, right?
Yeah, that helps me. I know I had some AP credit going in, so I was like, yay, those classes already checked off.
Great. Kimiko or Z, do you have other comments that you would like to make?
I think Ashley and Marley hit all the points. But yeah, I've had the same experience where I've taken AP courses and have the credit. I took a bunch of summer classes this past summer due to COVID. I figured I would take a bunch of online classes, and that kind of got me ahead. And so I was theoretically able to graduate within 3 years, but I decided to stay for an extra 2 to start a master's program. So it's definitely possible to graduate in 4 years.
Great, great. Thank you so much. Let's talk about, can you take classes outside your major? And I think we've hit on this with a couple of the student speakers. So I'll just turn it over to the students. Can you take classes outside your major?
Yes, and I highly recommend it. Take as many classes as you can outside of your major, I think, because personally, as an ag business major, I didn't really know what side of the industry I was going to go into. So I kind of wanted a broad overview of everything. So I tried to take a class in a little bit of everything. I took a fire and society class in the NRES department. I took lots of classes in animal science. I've taken ag engineering classes. You can take everything and anything just to really diversify your education, I think.
Great. Okay. Z, I may call on you and ask, again, back to the class, the virtual class you had last summer. Maybe you can just, maybe comment about that international experience. Yeah. Even though it was virtual, I think it was tremendously successful. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, so yeah, that was a course that was like a supported course for my major. And so I took that, as an opportunity to kind of like, use it for like my minor or just like use it as an elective class. And so definitely like I would encourage it. And I definitely think like students should take classes outside of their major, kind of like what Marley said. It gives you kind of that overview experience. Like it can really be like the pivotal point of like how you want to, what you want to do in a career. And so, yeah, like those classes definitely, they offer, like they supplement your major very well, I would say. And they give you like additional opportunity that you may not have gotten specifically like in your courses. So it's kind of like a great way to kind of like bridge the two. So.
Great, thank you. Yeah, it seems to me as I talk to students about internships and taking classes outside their major, it helps them to understand, what they really like and also what they don't want to do, right? It helps to eliminate, it helps you to organize and think about, what kind of things would you really enjoy doing in your career? And I think that's a huge value. So I'm glad we're able to do that. Let's move forward and talk about research opportunities. And I know Kimiko has been involved in some research, maybe some of the others, but would you like to make a comment about research, undergraduate research activities and opportunities?
Yeah, sure. I think this definitely goes back to what Dr. Lambert was saying about reaching out to your professors. So I didn't start research until this past year, actually. I took a microbiology class and a food safety class and found out that I was actually really interested in those topics. So I reached out to our professor who works with a lot of food safety research, and she immediately got me involved. She is having me help out with a master's student's research right now. And so I'm getting to know kind of what research entails completely. It's very, very different from all of your classes and coursework. And so getting that opportunity to kind of see what the research world is like and being able to apply all of these concepts that you're learning in all of your classes to real world applications is really, really fascinating. And I think that if you bring it up to your professor that you are interested in this topic, or even just a little bit curious, they will give you an opportunity to experience that and find out yourself whether or not you're genuinely interested. So I would highly recommend, if you do pick Cal Poly, reach out to all of your professors and tell them that you're interested in research.
It seems like most companies, thank you, Kamiko. Seems like most companies, when they talk to me, they always point out that they want to hire alumni that have experience in problem solving. And so I think the research, undergraduate research, is really valuable for that, to help you think through, here's a problem and how can you solve it. If Amy's still on, I can't see you, Amy, but do you have any comments, Amy?
Oh, definitely. I do a lot of work. I do sensory testing, so basically taste testing. And I have a student team of about 15 to 20 students that help me with these tests. And so a company will come to me, they'll say, because companies need to externally validate the products that they're putting out in the marketplace. So they can't do the testing in-house, they need to do it externally. They'll come to me, say, can you do this? I'll say, yes. My students are involved from the standpoint of building questionnaires, setting up, executing the tests. We have had situations in the middle of a test that we have had to solve on the fly. And it was me and the students as a team, not a faculty student hierarchy. It was a team making decisions on how to best move forward. The students will statistically analyze the results. We will put together a corporate report. In fact, one of the companies that has sponsored some work for us has actually hired one of our students as an intern. And there are many others. And the students that I have had on my sensory team have gone out and are now working in sensory positions at different food companies across the US. I have placed 7 of my students in a PhD program at NC State to do sensory. So we get our students ready, and I can't say enough, stress enough, get involved. Every experience, a good experience or a bad experience, gives you the way to answer questions when a prospective employer says, well, why do you want to do this? Why don't you want to do that? And you can actually say, oh, I don't know. You can actually say, I don't want to do this because when I did this, I didn't find it as personally as exciting as something else. It gives you something tangible to talk about. And that's the value. And I love getting students involved. And the more I can get involved, the better.
Great. Thanks, Dr. Lambert. Okay, yep. So let's move forward now and maybe take some questions from the audience. I'm going to ask that you use the Q&A function and we'll answer as many as possible. Okay.
While we're waiting for questions to come in, we had quite a few pop up in the Q&A throughout the session regarding academic advising. How do students know who their academic advisor is? How do they work with them? What are the kind of things that they can help them with, such as adding a minor or changing a major? Cass, could you tackle that one?
Absolutely. So first year students will all go through the Mustang Success Center. And the reason for that is because really in the first year, students they're blocked in, as we talked about, block schedules will allow students to get into the courses that they need during their first year for their major. But really, it's not until the sophomore year that you're starting to choose classes that are really more specific to the major, and you're starting to tailor your class schedules. So by the time students are sophomores, then they see academic advisors within CAFE student advising. And each department, each major gets a different advisor. So your academic advisor is specific to your major. So they know everything about your major and what it takes to get through in 4 years. I was going to talk about this a little bit too. We have some great online tools so that students can use something called Degree Planner, and that will let you know if you're on track and sort of what percentage you are on track for graduation. Whether or not a course is going to count for your major actually shows up in Degree Planner, and that's what academic advisors can help you with as well. Academic advisors can also help you with thinking about internships that you might want to do and how to go about doing that process. They can help you with adding minors. They can help you with drop add. We have a period during the first week of courses where, let's say you get into a course and you decide that's a terrible time. This isn't going to work with my work schedule. I want to take a different course. So you can drop that course and add another one. There's really just a whole host of things that your academic advisors can help you with.
And then I'll also add, and maybe Amy, you can build on this, that in addition to the professional academic advisors, faculty also serve as direct advisors for students.
Oh, definitely. I have a lot of students that will come and consult and say, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Should I take this internship? How should I put these classes together? There's all sorts of ways that the faculty advise the students outside of the formal university advisors. The faculty are much more discipline specific and guidance specific from a discipline aspect than maybe a procedure towards graduation or a process towards graduation. We can help with that, but there's clearly advisors that can help with that as well. We tend to handle a lot more of the discipline specific.
Great. We had a question about travel abroad experiences that are available to Cal Poly students. And of course, this past year has been a little bit different, but Dean Phelan, maybe you could just address in general all of the travel abroad opportunities students have access to.
Yes, we have a very robust travel abroad program. And I know for faculty that we're going to do it this summer. I think we've got a couple perhaps, but they'll be virtual, but everything from, study abroad in London. There's there's a number of study abroads, whether it's Taiwan, Vietnam, other places like that, South America, New Zealand, Australia. There's a lot of opportunities, and some of those are led by faculty members, and they're a little bit shorter. Some are study abroad systems that are set up that we partner with other universities so the students can get the experience and go overseas. And we're actually discussing now a number of opportunities where we might be able to get students to go, for example, to Mexico or Costa Rica in kind of an immersion program, so they could really learn Spanish and yet can work in industries down there that also are very involved with the industries that we have in the States here. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And I would ask if any of the students have any comments on that, or Kath.
Well, as a former Fulbright scholar and someone who studied abroad in Costa Rica, I'm a huge fan of study abroad. And so sometimes students think that they are not going to be able to fit it in. This is again where their academic advisor and the advisors in the International Center, I can put that in the chat for you. This is where they can really help out. Also with costs, a lot of the study abroad programs cost the same as Cal Poly tuition. That's a benefit of going to a big school where we sort of bundle up the costs of these things. And in addition to that, I think we have a really cool program at Cal Poly called the National Student Exchange, where you can do what we call study away. So let's say you want to study at the University of Hawaii for a semester, that's possible as well. And so it's part of the same program as study abroad. So there's just so many opportunities. I will be happy to talk people's ear off about how important I think it is for study abroad. Thanks.
Yeah, I would just say both of my daughters, one was a biology pre-med here. She studied abroad, and our other daughter who did undergraduate elsewhere and then came to Cal Poly for her master's, she also studied abroad, and it was a huge experience. I just saw so much growth in them after they had done that. I do know we've been working on one for wine and viticulture for the students there. We've had those before where they go to France and Italy and Spain, Portugal, and I know that we've got one, I think, just about set up for next summer. That'll be close to 3 weeks and just a tremendous experience for those students. But we have them in most of the different departments opportunities there.
Great. We also had a question come in about how students, what kind of opportunities there are to work on campus and how students can find those opportunities. Kamiko, I know you work at the pilot plant making jam. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, so how I actually got involved was after my labs. So after my first introductory food science lab where we made the jam, I walked up to the pilot plant manager and I said, hey, I'm really interested in this procedure that you have here, like this whole line that you have here. Are there any opportunities for me to get involved? And she loved that I took initiative. I think that's what I think all faculty will appreciate. So I got the job that way. I also worked at the Cal Poly Creamery and I got involved after a food processing lab. We took a tour around the creamery and I thought it was just the most fascinating thing and I was interested in learning more. So I reached out to someone who worked there and I said, hey, are there any other opportunities for me to kind of get involved and get to know what actually happens here at the creamery besides the type of equipment that we have here? And he got me in contact with some people and I ended up getting a job there as well. So I'd say that even if there aren't any job listings for on-campus jobs, just reaching out to the faculty and asking questions and showing that you are interested really appeals to everyone. And so then they're more inclined to try and help you find where you can get this experience from. And so I'd say just really trying to dive in your first year and try and get as much experience as possible is going to really, really benefit you in the future.
I would just add to what Kamiko said is, we have over 400 students at any one time really working throughout our organization at the Equine Center, at the meat processing, the creamery, the food pilot lab, throughout our whole organization, because these are kind of business enterprises that are run by students. So they learn how to work and make jam and things like this, but they also learn, what it means to have understand a P&L statement, a profit loss statement, or, if we put this much labor, are we going to have the returns? And so they really get that whole experience of managing a small business. And we run a little over $4 million through that each year. And that gives students a tremendous amount of opportunity. Most people don't realize, but our Animal Nutrition Center, it produces the nutrition products for nearly 20,000 animals on campus. From the poultry to the dairy to the equine center to all of these. That's a big opportunity for students to understand, and it's run like a regular business. So we have a manager, but then everything else is done by the students, and oftentimes we'll have student managers do that. So.
Great. We had a question earlier about how enterprises work across the college and whether you get class credit for that or how enterprises work. Dean Thulin, could you maybe address that broadly, since there are many enterprise opportunities available throughout all majors?
Right. Well, what is an enterprise project or enterprise class, let's say? And I go back to, Kamiko's experience or experience in the creamery or in the meat processing. So you take a class, you don't know anything about, let's say, making cheese and ice cream. There's a general course. The students take that. Well, then the students have an opportunity to take, maybe an advanced class in that, or they take an enterprise class where they are actually the workers. They're actually trying to make a cheese product or an ice cream products, I should say. And Kamiko, you've done one of my favorites, and that's chocolate. Making our chocolate bars. And so you have that opportunity. The next thing you have a manager, the person that runs the pilot lab that's responsible for the P&L there. And, Molly says, hey, you did a great job in this. How about working for me, right? As a student employee. And that's how that whole process works. So it was an opportunity for us over the many, many years to say, okay, when students really go through all these classes, they want to get additional experience. Let's say in the fulling bar, right? fulling a mare out, right? And we have our own mares, and sometimes we do outside mares for clientele outside of the program. And these students get that hands-on experience, and it's real. I mean, it's real. And so that's hugely a huge opportunity that this college has that is very unique. I haven't seen it anywhere in the country.
Great. We had a bunch of questions come in earlier in the session about registration and how that works, and if students have issues, who they might be able to turn to. And especially lots of questions about when you first arrive on campus, how do you register? Kath, could you talk about maybe block scheduling and how all that process works?
Absolutely. So as we said before, students are block scheduled into courses. What this means is your courses are pre-selected for you. And that's because we want to make sure that you get off on the right track and that you take the courses that you're going to need for your major. So students are going to receive, first year students will receive their block schedules on August 11th. So that gives you plenty of time to think about the courses and get the materials that you're going to need. Transfer students will actually register for the courses they need August 16th. And so that's the way that works. And then, as I mentioned before, that first week, there's a drop add period, but we really encourage students not to do drop add unless you realize that you're going to get AP credit for something. I noticed in the chat that some of you talked about your AP credit. And so we do the block scheduling sometimes before the AP scores come in. So if you are in chemistry and then you realize you actually have AP credit for that class, of course, you should talk to an academic advisor in Mustang Success and do drop add to get another course that's going to work out best for you. And so you can adjust your fall schedule August 17th to 19th. So you can actually adjust it before you do the first week of school drop add. So that's really useful as well.
Great. We had a few questions about housing and how that works for first year students and second year students, and whether students will be living on campus in the fall, even if potentially we go back to being virtual. And then as a follow-up to that, ag housing and the unique opportunities that are available for students to live on campus and work within the college. Kath, could you maybe address the general housing question about first year students?
And ag housing students?
Just the general. Do students live on campus their first and second year, and how does that work?
Yes, and most students will be living with other cafe students, and we also have a second year housing for cafes as well. So you get the opportunity to live a second year on our campus with other cafe students. Most students find that they really enjoy that kind of environment. And I know there was a question about ag housing. We do have several houses around campus where students live. These are close to our units, but you have to be working in the units to get the ag housing. So just so you know. So you got to apply and be hired to actually work. That's different than being in the enterprise classes that we talked about. So just because you're in an enterprise class doesn't mean you get ag housing. But if you are actually working, say in the dairy, then yes, you are eligible for the dairy housing. The residence halls are actually really great because there's a lot of programming, some social activities, things like that that occur in the residence halls. And if you've never visited campus, wow, that Cerro Vista is awfully nice. There's a pool up there. It looks pretty amazing. So just a little plug for how nice that is.
And Dean Thulin, could maybe you address the question about the benefits of living in ag housing, the opportunities that presents to students?
Yeah, that's as Kath said, those students are associated with one of our operations. So for example, the dairy, we have a number of students that live there that are involved in managing, the cow side, and the equine center is the same. I mean, we have to have students available, 24/7, 7 days a week, because we're talking about an animal here that, maybe in pens, they got to be fed, they got to be taken care of. Animals sometimes get hurt, and so the students are the front line. I mean, they're the ones that work with the manager and manage all of that. So it's they have to work so many hours a week, and then there's a charge for living in that facility, but it's not as much as in the residence halls. And most students really like it because you're right on campus. You're right there where you're working. in most cases, and it makes it very, very easy to do your job, go to classes, and manage that way.
Great. We've had a number of questions come in about if it's possible to either major or minor in a major that's outside of this college. So for example, could you major add a minor from the College of Engineering, for example, or the College of Business? Dean Thulin, do you want to address that?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you're in a major in the college, one of our 15 majors, you can absolutely. And we have a lot of students that they might do a minor in music, they might do a minor in psychology, or some other area. It's amazing to me that we have students that I've had an opportunity to interact with just this past spring that are doing 2 different minors in 2 different other colleges. And, that goes back to the students' comments about, it's very flexible. It's what you're interested in, and showing up and going and getting involved and taking some of those classes. And I just think it opens up your opportunities to think about what you really enjoy. And you're in school for 4 years, you got to take advantage of it because you got a whole lifetime to work, right? And getting those experiences is amazing. So we have students with multiple minors, political science, things like that are in our college that are taking those classes in other colleges. And we the same can be said for other colleges taking our minors.
Great. We also had a question come in about our Swanton Pacific Ranch. Can you talk about the opportunities that gives students to take classes, field trips, internships, etc.? Dean Thulin, I'll let you kick that one off.
Yeah, that's, for some of you that aren't aware, our Swanton Pacific Ranch is 3,200 acres, some of the most gorgeous redwood forests in the country. We have grass-fed cattle, a small herd there. We have all kinds of, organic production, about 68 acres of organic vegetable and herb production there. We have the hydrology. We have 2 major watersheds that come through the area. So there's just a tremendous amount of environmental opportunities for students and hands-on. So a lot of students in a normal year, a lot of students will take, there's a lot of, field trips, tours from the various classes that go there to the ranch. And a lot of them will spend the night. Some will just go up for the day. And it's a place where if you came from, let's say you came from Pasadena, California, and you've never been out on a ranch, you wanted to get some experience and exposure, you can actually do an internship there. You can actually go there and get some experience. That's very holistic. You're working in all kinds of different areas, right? Hydrology, you're measuring tree size and tree growth, and helping with the cattle. We bring in stalker calves, maybe 300, 400 stalker calves, and the students manage those, right? Along with a manager. So it's a place where you can get tremendous experience in multiple areas, but you also have the opportunity to interact with the local community there and that sort of thing. So it's a tremendous opportunity. Unfortunately, the ranch burned significantly last August. So we lost 25 different facilities, 7 homes where we had employees or staff living at burned. And so we're in the process of re-envisioning that. We're going through that process right now. We will rebuild. We're in the process. We've just going through the process of hiring an architect firm to help us with our redesign. And we're working on an education camp there where students can go up and stay for a few days at a time. So it was unfortunate, but it also gives us an opportunity. We have a new canvas now and a new set of paints that we can envision what the place needs to look like. That ranch goes all the way from the mountains, all the way down to the water across Highway 1. It's 12 miles north of Santa Cruz, and it's a gorgeous, gorgeous property. And it's already starting to regrow, all the flora and the trees and everything. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Great, and it looks like we're just about running out of time. So Dean Thulin, any closing comments before you turn it over to our partners to have their closing comments? And I will just add one more thing too, is just a reminder that at 11 o'clock, all of our departments and our majors have individual information sessions. You can learn even more, do a deep dive into your chosen majors at those sessions, and we'll put the full schedule link in the chat box for you.
Thanks, Haley. I think it's very important that, one of our 15 majors, 9 departments, that you go to their session and learn a whole lot more, because they're doing a whole lot more than we can even possibly talk about here on this Zoom. I also want to just thank the Dean's office that facilitated this, and my team that were involved heavily with it, and particularly the speakers and our wonderful students. It always warms my heart when I see our students on the Zoom. It's even better when we're in person. So we have tremendous students, we have a tremendous organization, and I would just say, you've been accommodated at Cal Poly. I hope you join us. I can tell you, because years ago, I came from the state of Washington, and I came here on a last minute. I was going to another university, all paid for, and I visited Cal Poly, and I realized right then it was a tremendous opportunity, and it has served me so well, both in the academy, when I was on Michigan State University faculty, and when I was in private industry for a number of years. And now I'm back at Cal Poly, and it really helps you to go where you want to go, not where someone else wants you to go. So I hope you join us. Thanks again to all of you for joining us today, and for our wonderful panelists, and thanks again, Haley and your team, for putting this on. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to our partners for a brief overview of the other open house items. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you everyone who came to this webinar, and thank you all the panelists for speaking. This was great. Just a little overview of what's to come for the rest of the day. We do have a transfer event from 1:30 to 2:30 on the Mustang Success Center, which is actually the first year advising center. So all of you first year students, you'll be going to the Mustang Success Center to talk about academic advising. And then as you move on in further years, you'll be going to your college advising centers. So that event is at 2:30 to 3:30. And then we also have an alumni panel from 4 to 5:30. And that's where you can hear about more of what to do with your degree. And we have a wide variety of different alumni from all majors. But they will be broken out in college-specific sessions, so you will be able to go to your college session. And then also make sure you do go to your department meetings right after this, and you can register on our website. You can also find more information about future events on our app, CP Now. And please enjoy the week. We are so excited to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey there, my name is Rafael. I'm a 4th-year journalism transfer student with a minor in Spanish, and my pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you for watching the video. Please share any questions or comments you have down below in the comment section, and go ahead and click here to subscribe, and to watch more videos, click here. If you want to sign up for a virtual visit or talk to any student or staff members, check out our website. Link in the description. Thank you for watching.